Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Arm Wrestling Pulse, episode 24. Fun fact, this is the #1 Reddit arm wrestling podcast in the world, hosted by yours truly, Ryan Turner, and of course, Derek Smith. Derek, how are you?
I'm doing great, Ryan. I'm so excited to be here on my phone again. Thank you for hosting on your channel 2 weeks in a row because I am unable to do a StreamYard and all that stuff on my phone, guys. So we are here on Ryan's channel. He is having to hold it down. But my appointment to take my PC in to the computer repair place is right after we get off this stream. It is at 4:40 p.m., which for me, we get out of here at 4. So, yeah, taking it in today. It should be fixed by Wednesday. But I mean, hopefully, if everything, but my luck never works out. But by Wednesday, hopefully, my PC's back working and we're good to go.
We end every show saying next time it will be on Derek's channel, but we mean it this time. Maybe. We'll find out. All right. So if you're new to the podcast, Derek and I help run the Arm Wrestling Reddit page, which I believe is now the largest online forum for arm wrestling. That's essentially what Reddit is. Yep. And we're going to go through some of the top posts for the week. So on Reddit, what separates it from other message boards is you can hit the upvote or downvote button if you like or hate a post. And so we're going to look at the most upvoted posts for the week. That's why we call it the pulse. It gives you kind of gives you the pulse of the community, what people are talking about, what they're upvoting. And then halfway through, we're going to switch gears and look at some training specific questions, some hand-picked posts from the Arm Wrestling Forum. And if you want to join us and perhaps get your post featured on the Arm Wrestling Pulse, head on over to reddit.com/r/arm wrestling, or just type in Reddit Arm Wrestling on Google and you should find it first link. With that,
to everybody in the chat, if you guys are watching this, please share this. We would appreciate it a ton if you could share this on Facebook, on anything you're on Instagram. Invite people to come watch this. Also, you guys, in some of the other podcasts I do, and I'm sure some of the other podcasts Ryan do, we are super into the chat. We're hanging out with the chat all day. We're talking to them. We're interacting with the chat a lot. On this show, we're kind of trying to stay on topic. So basically, unless it's a super chat, we're kind of trying to stay here and talk. So we're not ignoring you guys because we hate you. That's why we're trying to go through as many posts as we can. Yeah.
Yes. So we actually just got a notification. We're actually in the top 5% largest communities in all of Reddit, which is like the 5th largest website in the world. So arm wrestling is on the rise. Woo! And with that said, let us get into our first post, which I think almost every single episode has been related to Devin Larratt. Let's see if the streak continues. No. Unfortunate news, actually. But I'm glad this one is the top post for the week. So it's posted by Separate World 2612, and it's a video that Sabin Badalescu put out saying, "Please help me to save my wife from leukemia cancer." So this is Sabin asking the community for help. His wife got diagnosed with a pretty aggressive leukemia, and I'll link the video so you guys can check it out. In the description is information if you have a few bucks to spare to help him out. He's going through a pretty rough period and is asking for our help. And that's what we're all about in the arm wrestling world. So thoughts, prayers, everything for you, Sabin. And I think the community will rally behind you here. Already have most upvoted post on Reddit. So Reddit has your back, my dude. Best of luck with things. I know that's tough. So there you have it. Again, link is in the chat. I just posted it if you want to support him.
Definitely big shout out to Sabin for reaching out to the community and stuff like that, and shout out to everybody that's helping him out with whatever they can. But this also kind of alludes to we have a lot of people on Reddit and in general that watch YouTube, guys, that are viewing the community from the outside. They're not arm wrestlers, they're not in it, and they're fans of it, which is totally okay, totally acceptable. But I just want everybody to know that once you get into the community, once you actually start attending practice, you actually start attending tournaments, you actually start being deep inside there, then you'll notice this is what we're all about. This is why a lot of people love the community so much. This is why a lot of people stick around arm wrestling even after they're done competing. They don't want to leave the sport because the community. This is not wild to us arm wrestlers. An arm wrestler asking for help for his wife being sick is not weird to us. This is normal, right? From the outside looking in, they might be like, "That's weird. Oh my god!" But this is normal. This is how our community rolls. This is why I love arm wrestling. This is why a lot of people love arm wrestling that are in it, because this is normal. We help each other out. This is a family. So often, an arm wrestler be flying in from out of country. You can stay at my house if I have room for it. We're a brotherhood. We're a sisterhood. We're a community. We're stuck together. And so I just think this really shows that. And I'm glad that the Reddit is getting behind it, and really embracing this.
Yeah, no, truer words have never been spoken. We've all had some dark days, and anytime it happens, the arm wrestling community is there for you. So hope that never changes. We are growing rapidly. Every club is like doubling in size, but we need to keep that culture going. So if you are an OG of the sport, make sure you welcome everyone in and keep that brotherhood, sisterhood, familyhood going. All right, so next up we have this is crazy, man. This was wildly impressive. Dennis versus Levon. This is a community-made edit, if you will, and it's posted by user Flat Pineapple 4217. And I'll just let the video speak for itself. We'll play it here.
Cyborg Dennis Saplenko, the Georgian Hulk, Levon Saganishvili.
Oh wow, I haven't seen these yet.
Wild.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so awesome. They took Irving's arms. Oh, that's great. Oh, that's great, man. Wow. That's crazy. How you can barely see it a little bit of the elbow, but see it getting a little weird, but it looks so on point, man. That's awesome.
I was like, wait, did this match happen? Did I like black out forget? Like, what's going on? Extremely impressive. I don't know if this guy made it, Flat Pineapple, or is reposting it, but holy cow, that is some talent. We've seen still images like promotional posters where they'll Photoshop hands together. Solaroon is great at that, right? All his posters, like you'll see Devin and Dennis gripping up, but it's just a still image from two separate events. This is next level. We have some talent in the arm wrestling community.
That's crazy.
Yeah, for sure. So we have a post next up. Smells like new PR. I think that's a Nirvana reference, perhaps. And posted by you, Bebson1324. And we'll check.
Oh, Devin. All right, so Devin's down to the third post today. All right.
Yeah. Oh, wow, you're right. Didn't even make top two. You're washed up, Devin. You're not.
Yeah, falling off.
So here it is. I don't know if I'm missing something here, but I think it's just Devin hitting some amount of weight, which nobody actually knows the answer to because he has like 8 different types of weight plates on that belt.
You know, I've always wondered what those square plates he has on there. I think those are off a pulley machine. They're the plates that you put the pin in. I think he just has them hanging around the house and uses them weights. I can never figure out why they had square weights like that.
Yeah. Or they're styrofoam squares that he cut out and has us all completely
fake weights.
Someone's got to go over up to Ottawa, pay him a visit, man. I don't know. That belt doesn't look very strained as it goes up, Devin. I think I'm on to you. So yeah, this is Devin just flexing, and the caption here in the video, for those who can't see it, it says 4 weeks out, and he's lighter and stronger in every single lift he does. And later in the show, we're actually going to take a look. Someone broke down the numbers to show how much he's progressed since Hermes, and he's lighter and leaner. So hard to do, man. Hard to do. That is the dream in pretty much all athletic endeavors, losing fat and gaining strength. So impressive. Very impressive. Next up, we have a post by Anime Weeb Arif, and he says, I asked Prudnik this. I'll try to bring this image up. So he sent Prudnik a DM on Instagram saying, Prudnik, do you speak Italian? Prudnik said no. And he replied, thanks, Prudnik.
Why is that so upvoted?
I was hoping you had the answer to that question. I looked at this and I'm trying. I don't know if it's just like a, so random raw or XD kind of thing, or if there's a hidden meme in here, or I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. But yeah, 93 upvotes. It's like what, the 4th or 5th most upvoted thing for the week. Pretty cool that you can message like our superstars and ask them if they speak a certain language and they'll get back to you. That's cool. But there it is. It is what it is.
Every time you respond to me, I'm amazed, right?
Yeah. Oh, and every time I don't want to, but it's like, all right, thirsty, my God. Okay, next up, we have a post by user Subert, and it's Milo Larrett looking unbelievably jacked. And what do you think, Eric? Is this unbelievably jacked?
He is. It's crazy how much Milo and Auden and Larrett like kind of look like their parents.
Yeah.
But they don't look alike, but they look like their parents so much.
Yeah.
Like I think Milo looks more like Devin, especially the body type, tall and slender. And then Auden, I think, looks a little more like his mom, but they both look like Devin and Jody so much. It's crazy. It looks like Milo's getting, that Devin body, that, the lean, jacked, all that.
Yeah, we definitely do not need a paternity test here, man. That is Devin all over. Yeah, and super lean dude. Not as lumpy as Devin, but maybe he'll get some of those lipomas. I have one of those things in my bicep. Just showed up one day. Everyone always asks, what are those lumps on Devin's arm? They're called lipomas, and if you just are straining very hard, they can just develop, and it's like a clump of fat, basically, in your arm. That's what it is. But yeah, Milo is super lean. I mean, I don't know if it counts as jacked. Like, if that bicep's probably 15 inches, it's just so lean, and he's straining very hard. It looks very impressive. So
ripped. Maybe ripped was the word.
That's the word. That's the word.
Ripped.
Yeah. Come on, Reddit, get your terminology right, dude. We're a bunch of meatheads. We should know the difference between jacked and ripped. So thank you for that post, Subert. Okay, is there any hole or lane that Hutchings can exploit to win even one round against Vitali? Derek, what do you think? First, have a look at this picture and tell me, is there any hole that Hutchings can exploit inside of Vitali in order to win a round off him? Any hole you can think of.
The odds are so low. I mean, I think you can never say 100% no. I mean, Vitali could get injured. Vitali could play with Hutchings until he gets tired and then actually accidentally lose a round. There's weird ways it could happen, but the odds are pretty low. It would definitely be Hutchings loses his hand, gets way behind it, and is surging sideways, and for some reason Vitali can't finish it until Vitali gets tired. It opens up. That would be the only possible lane, I think. And that's still very highly unlikely. So I am 85% sure, 90% sure, maybe that no, you won't. There's no lane.
That's not 100% though. You're leaving a little gap there for
Mr. Hutchings is amazing. He is amazing, but Vitali's amazing and huge. So
yeah, this picture says a lot, but remember Todd Hutchings got kicked out of the middleweight division at WAL. For those newer to the sport, he used to pull as a middleweight, and he was so freaking good. They were like, "You got to go up, dude. You're done. You're a super heavyweight now." That's how good Todd is. Yeah, I mean, and I'm more to the question here. I'm thinking Vitali versus Chafee, right? Chafee got him with that flop press side pressure after Vitali was totally exhausted. So Todd can pull. I mean, it's not a flop press, but it is, flop side pressure, which is a similar-ish vector. So yeah, no, I think that's fair. I think 90% chance Vitali sweeps it. But if Todd just sends it the right way and hits the go perfectly, maybe he can gas Vitali out and get a pin. But there you go.
It's just like, so if Vitali has a match with Dave and Vitali beats Dave, right? Vitali lost Dave before, and then Ravaz pulls Dave, destroys Dave. Vitali beats Ravaz, and then he goes full circle back to Dave. And if he loses to Dave, the internet will explode.
No, I don't even talk like that, man. Trying to come up with the rankings is hard enough right now. If that happens, dude, there'll be like a black hole that just sucks everyone in, trying to make sense of all this. And then where does Camille factor in, right? He just beat Chafee. I mean, oh my goodness. All right, so there you go. 90% chance is your answer. Strength 108. Thank you for that post. This is in the lobby in Pendik over in Istanbul at East vs. West.
I've been there.
Yep.
Hey, you know what I was thinking the other day? I think I might be me or Paul Lynn, maybe might be the Americans that have attended the most East vs. West. I think I'm at 7.
You're at 7?
I'm at 6 or 7. Yeah,
You competed thrice,
and then I've commentated thrice. I think so, maybe 6. Wait, I've commentated 3 times, 4 times. Oh God, I'm losing count. It's 6 or 7. Either way,
right? Either way,
Paul Lynn's been to a lot. John's been to a good amount.
Yeah,
I think I don't know, man. I'm up there.
No, I think you are. I think Paul Lynn's been probably 5, right? All as a competitor and once as a coach, like 5 or 6. I don't know. We'll have to someone fact check that, but that's pretty sweet, man. You must be racking up those miles.
If I kept track of it and had an account.
Yeah. All right, so there you go. Next post here we have. Check this out. Do you recognize these two? Like, I suppose you don't have to. It's in giant bold letters,
Yeah,
but
it's just a poster of Devin and Dennis. I don't see
what's
an
average poster.
There's something off with that? I don't get it. It's a good poster. I mean,
It is a good poster. Yeah, they're actually looking rather sprightly. So
they look a bit younger than they normally do. I see what it is. Okay, that makes sense.
Dude, I don't know what is with the Reddit community and doing like absurd edits and shit, but that is just what we do over here on the Reddit. Well done. They look. That's probably exactly how they're gonna look.
Wait, how old is Dennis really though? I forget. He's not super old, right?
No, I want to say 41 or something. Not crazy.
Dennis is 41. Oh,
don't quote me on that. Don't, because it's always translation and stuff. So maybe I'm off there. But if someone in the chat knows, let us know. But yeah, I remember being surprised he's not as old as you think. Devin's what, 49?
I think he's 48 because I think Devin's 10 years older than me roughly, and I'm 37, so he's like 37,
probably
47, 48.
Right,
and then John, Alan Fisher's 10 years older than Devin.
Okay,
or no, John's 10 years older than Devin, and Alan's 10 years older than John.
Oh wow, Alan's like 68.
Yeah, so
Damn, I hope, dude, he's doing all kinds of those like go to the beach, can you beat my granddad at arm wrestling things, and it's amazing. All right, so well done, Mr. Best Glazard. Excellent. Giving Soul Arun a run for his money with these posters. All right, next up we have user Stronk Axe posted this. He said, I fixed this post to be accurate to the present Devin. So we're starting off. This is the expectation everybody has for Devin in a match, right? A downright dirty Kings move.
Yeah.
But the reality, Devin just cracking wrists, staying upright, taking the pronator. Here he is with Chafee. Clean, beautiful. And is Devin a new man? Is he done with the Kings move?
Or is he just not facing people that are able to get him to the Kings move anymore?
Wow, that's very rude of you.
No, nothing knocking them, but like honestly, he'll still go to it. If you threaten his pronation and his cup, he will go to the Kings move. You know what I mean? Like it's there in reserve. It's always just waiting. But if for some reason through him playing games in the setup, him tiring you out, him in your head, whatever it is, if you're not able to threaten him for whatever reason, not just purely because they're not strong enough, but for whatever reason you're not able to threaten him, then he's gonna arm wrestle you more conventional.
These are also very selective screenshots. There were some times against Chafee where he was much more open top rolling, and Prudnick, right? He pretty much hit a full Kings move against Prudnick in that first round. Mm-hmm. That one is conveniently left out here, but no, I'm excited to see that Devin does not need to rely on a silver bullet move anymore. He's got options. He's looking ridiculous, and best Devin ever, perhaps. So yeah, interesting. Thank you for that post, Strong Axe. Next up, we got more caricatures. We got Devin thinks Count Babkin will exorcise demons Shaitan out of him while Dennis hose him down with a pillow. If you're not in the loop here, this is the weirdest thing you'll ever see and makes no sense.
This is like the what's his name from Sesame Street? He looks like the counts, the
Count Dracula.
Yeah, 2, 3.
Yep. Well done. Yeah, this is a reference to some mistranslating, I believe, from the podcast that Engin did with Babkin, Pavlo, Devin, and Dennis. There was some talk of pillows instead of using pin pad. I think it was translated to pillow. So a meme. Long story short, this is a meme. Go watch that podcast if you want to fully appreciate it. But thank you for more of your artwork. Arm wrestling is fun. You're killing it with the caricatures and stuff. Here's that post I was talking about. So Devin's lift progress since Airmace, based on his latest video, his static pronation is up 2.5%. His riser post is up 7.5%. His high cup is up 18.5%. Low cup up 8%. Press is up 8.5%. And his grip, you can't really do a percentage on that. It's more repetitions and a higher weight. So average lift increase 9.16%. What is he doing over there? How is he doing this?
It's obvious he's eating more syrup and pancakes, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like as with anything, consistent work will yield results. And as time goes on, Devin's still honing his craft and getting better and better and sharper and understanding what works for his body even better. So With Devin, it never shocks me that he would find a way to make these type of games still at his age and this far into the sport.
Yeah.
He's super smart. If anybody gets a chance to talk to him, you'll know that, especially if he starts talking about training and training concepts and things like that. So.
Yeah. Yep. So there you go, man. 48 years old. You're not too late to start making some crazy double-digit percentage gains month over month. So, and we actually have an interesting question to get to later about why arm wrestling people get so older. People are still so competitive, which we'll take a look at. First, though, we have another caricature. Will Devin get cracked November 11th?
Oh, the walnuts.
The walnuts. Did Dennis do it this way? I'm pretty sure he crushed it with his hand, or am I misremembering?
No, he did it this way. He flicked it.
Did it? Okay.
Yeah.
Have you tried that? Is that impressive, or is that?
Oh no, I normally do it with the coconuts and stuff for like. But
okay.
yeah, I mean walnuts it's whatever. I guess.
Yeah.
Small time.
So,
no, I've never tried that. I'm not ridiculous. I don't have huge thumbs for index fingers and stuff. I don't know. This guy's built crazy.
I'm trying to figure out how much of a strength feat this is versus just like how much you're willing to pull your finger back and snap it, right? Because he's not actually using finger flexion there. He's just stretching out his tendon and then letting it snap back in place.
Well, I don't think mine will work either because my fingers naturally go back like that.
Ooh.
So I'd have to bend it like all like
you'd have
way back here for it to snap.
Right.
So I don't think I could do that.
Yeah, sorry, man. You'll never be as good at cracking walnuts as Dennis. I hate to break it to you. Engen's match is likely to be canceled. He writes, today is the third day after his accident, went to the hospital, don't have any broken bone, but he did get a concussion. He's been throwing up and he's been resting. He's got areas that are numb. He can't stand up for a few minutes and he doesn't have power. He was doing an exercise and I guess the cable or the band he was using snapped and he was using his body weight. So like leaning back, it snapped on him. He hit the floor hard, clearly hit his head and has been, I guess, concussed since. The timing, man, because he was looking super jacked and I know he was extraordinarily excited for this match coming up. And have you talked to him? Do you know any updates or is this
I just messaged him telling him I hope he gets better and I hope he feels better and I'll be in my thoughts for him to heal up in time to go crush Samusha is what I said. So no, I mean, but besides that we haven't really got into a big conversation about it. Yeah,
I don't know what there's much to say really. Rest up and it's out of your control. But yeah, so best of luck, Engen, on the recovery. We are all excited to see you back on the table. And I want to see an Artur Makarov rematch. That remains one of my favorite matches. All right, so next up we have a post from user 144i. He says, wise words. Endurance is not my gift. It's not. Obsession is my gift. And will that make it into the Hall of Fame of Devin quotes right there?
Yeah, I think it will.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good one.
It is good. It is good. People think he's just gifted, and it looks that way, right? Anytime you're looking at someone who's a master of their craft, you think, oh, they're so talented, they're so gifted. But what it really is obsession. It's practicing every single day over and over and over until it looks easy and it looks like a gift. So, yeah. No, I like that. All right, we'll do maybe one or two more posts here and then get to some training questions.
All right.
One more meme. Here it is. So, posted by user. Some nerd posted a meme. Flop pressing or King's move? New arm wrestlers sweating the choice. So... Okay,
I saw this on Facebook. I did not create this. I saw this on Facebook. I think it was Facebook or Arm Wrestling memes that made it or something like that. They shared it. And I laughed. I actually audibly laughed pretty hard when I read it. And I decided to take it to Reddit. What do you think about that? You think it's accurate?
Unfortunately, 100%. And you have Jerry Caderet, who was... the heavyweight champion, super heavyweight champion of East vs. West, flop pressing. People are going to see that and think, oh, that's the way. You have Devin Larratt, heavyweight champion and contender, now super heavyweight champion, who is known for King's moving, although that is changing. So it's just the power of influence, man. It's not totally their fault, right? If you're just someone getting into arm wrestling and you see Jerry beating Gennady with his wrist like this, and you see Devin King's moving people, you're going to think that's arm wrestling. And so we need memes like this to fight back against the plague. Really, we just need experienced arm wrestlers at clubs telling them not to do that.
In the comment section, though, most people were saying that, oh no, I don't do that. I'm high hook or hook or top roll or whatever. So maybe it's false, but it just seems like running the team, all these new guys I'm around, like it just we don't let it happen in my club. We will be all over someone's ass. If they
really,
we're all over it. Not, but like we'll just clown them. We'll just clown the person. Now I will say, at a tournament, I don't mind my guys flop pressing. Or honestly, I guess if they had an okay King's move, I wouldn't freak out about it, right? Like trying to win, you go all out to win. I can understand going all out to win and not wanting to give up and fighting to the ends of the earth to try to get a victory. I can understand that. And that goes to that Todd Hutchings excellence over victory type thing. Nah, man, get that win. And so, I don't know. I mean, in that case, yeah, but training it, I'm a fan of training the fundamentals. I'm a fan of training hand control and height and things like that. And, controlling what's important, center table, and giving access to other options and things like that. So I don't think that that's the best way to train. To train is your main move, and they're very limiting moves in terms of what they transition into. Unless you get that opponent tired, they're kind of limiting. So
yeah, you didn't you coin the term King's move, and the reason you called it that actually kind of makes the point, doesn't it?
Yeah, so a lot of people. It's weird because randomly people will argue this with me. They're like, no, you didn't. Shut up, there. So. A long time ago, the move was out. Crazy George had been doing it. Everybody just called it a bone lock. And we were on Facebook one day. Me and Devin were talking, and we were in some arm wrestling discussion where there was an argument between Devin and Engen. And I wasn't really arguing with Engen, but I was kind of on Devin's side, and I was like kind of poking a little bit. And so I messaged Devin. I said, hey, I was like, this because Michael Todd had just been doing it for like 3 or 4 months, and he'd been getting real popular with Michael Todd doing it. So now everybody's really talking about it because now Crazy George and Michael are doing it. And so I'm like, that's crazy. 2 guys that have been in the sport forever, for like a million years and stuff like that, and their arms like can't open up. And so basically it was a move done by guys who had spent so much time in the sport and sacrificed the range of motion in their arm, the kings of the sport, because how long they've been in the sport and how much dues they paid. They'd sacrificed their range of motion in their daily life for arm wrestling, right? So kings of the sport, a move for the kings of the sport, right? And so that's why by definition, per the name, if your arm can go straight, like walking around in the street, then you cannot King's move because you must have an arm that does not go straight per the name that I came up with for it to be called a King's move. So I guess everything else would be called an open top roll or something like that. All the ones we see new guys do where they're under teetering off the elbow and stuff. But yeah, so it's very few people that can actually King's move. Like the list is actually pretty short.
Well, there you go. So if there was any confusion, let there be no more. New people cannot King's move by definition. All right, let's get some questions here. We have a post by user Bodybuilder Nom, and he writes, why is it possible to retain one's strength until such a high age in arm wrestling? For example, weightlifting relies much more on explosivity than pure strength, and therefore people can peak much earlier than in powerlifting or strongman. Yet arm wrestlers outlive them all. In no other sport, except perhaps for stuff like chess, I don't know, can a close to 50-year-old be a contender for the #1 worldwide? And Brzezinski is playing with the top guys at close to 60 years old. Toddzilla started when he was older than 30. I presume people will say it's because tendons take a long time to grow strong, but really, one still needs the raw arm and hand strength. Best regards. Lost you there for a second, Derek. Did you catch that? Oh, not
I got it.
Thoughts?
Any answer I give is first off, it's gonna be super bro sciencey because there's not a lot of science on this. Not a lot of people have done huge studies on what's going on there. You are going to hear a lot of the tendons they built up over time. You're going to hear about how the hand and wrist is the most important thing in arm wrestling, which is mostly all connective tissue, which retains the longest, right? Compared to big muscle groups like biceps and chest and shoulders, your hand and wrist stay. So even older guys, generally, if you grip up with them, always have like iron hand and wrists. That's usually their selling point when you grip up with older guys. And then I'm not going to say for sure, I don't know. This is just spitballing, but maybe all these guys at the top of the world are on a ton of gear as well, right? Maybe, right? And so maybe they're feeling great and they're feeling young and their testosterone is an all-time high and their growth hormone is secreting and all the things are going on at once. So maybe there's that to consider when you're talking about the top guys in the world that are older. Maybe they're not young in all the ways. Old in all the ways. Sorry. So there's those things to consider. And then plus, obviously, the they built their bodies to be able to generate power in all their favorite moves. They're pretty dialed in what they're doing and how to generate power in it. So they kind of have these lanes dialed in pretty hardcore. I mean, at this point, originally, you got to think about this. Devin was known for being super versatile. Pretty much Devin is all the way in or all the way out most of the time, right? He has those lanes he's super comfortable in. Either he's in, shoulder committed, all behind it, or generally all the way out. It's tightening up a little bit, but it's still pretty much a King's move, still all the way out, or it's a little tighter at times, but it's still way out there. And so he's found those lanes he's really confident in and really explosive in. So yeah, I don't know. I just a mixture of all those reasons, but I haven't looked into the science of it, specifically why, but I think it would lean into some of those things I listed.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I did read that, elasticity in your connective tissue lessens as you get older, right? And I feel it with a bunch of, when young guys come in, and part of it is strength, but a lot of it is they're very elastic and can stretch more. And so when you hit, there's more give. Whereas with older people, they're stiffer, but they still have the strength. And so there's less give from a connective tissue standpoint. I think Min Hale had a good response here. Min Hale is one of the other moderators, so we'll give him a shout out here. He wrote, there are two main factors: the relative lack of serious injury and PEDs. Most strength sports are full body. You injure your back, your knee, your ACL, you're done. That's why it's so hard for strongmen to stay on top until their old age. In arm wrestling, you only really need to be strong from shoulder to the fingertips to be competitive. One of my teammates blew his back deadlifting, and he was still arm wrestling with no issues. So even if you blow your elbow and can't hook, there are other options. And then, of course, he goes into PEDs. So yeah, that's definitely another factor, right? The number of things you can hurt just is less than if you're playing football. Not that there aren't plenty of things to get hurt and do get hurt in arm wrestling, but in terms of just raw numbers of I pulled this, I strained that, I tore this, is less in arm wrestling. So perhaps that's a factor. Next up, we got how many of you had a background in lifting before starting arm wrestling? Do you think it helps? Also, does anybody miss being jacked at the expense of being a good puller? I know the two aren't necessarily mutually exclusive, but I find I only get excited for training if I'm focused on one or the other at any period of time. So a couple things there. One, Derek, were you lifting before you started arm wrestling? Do you think that helped you, or would you rather get a fresh slate with arm wrestling? And do you feel like you're sacrificing an Adonis level physique in order to be better at arm wrestling?
Well, first I want to say I have an Adonis level physique, and
True.
I'm getting pretty good at arm wrestling, so let's not shy away from that.
There you go. Empirical evidence.
In terms of gym, yes, I had experience in the gym, but I was a basketball player through high school and for a year in college. So my gym routine was based around basketball lifts, which is mostly like plyometrics, squats, hang cleans, things of that nature. Not a ton of upper body, not a ton of focused bicep curls, isolation movements, not a lot of that. So that was my only experience before I got into arm wrestling. Once I got into it, and there was 2 YouTube videos out in the whole world for arm wrestling, there was no available content when I got into it, basically. So I was just doing bicep curls, thinking that's going to get me super jacked. And then it wasn't for years until I started realizing exactly how to train for arm wrestling. So not a huge background. It was just when I tell my story of how I came into arm wrestling, people know, like, I didn't start really lifting weights and taking arm wrestling serious, where practicing in the gym all week and all that stuff until like 4 years ago or so. So it was damn near 10 years or 9 years of me just trying to figure it out, going to practice, pulling on rubber bands, not programming or anything like that. So you just have to seek out the knowledge. And people are so lucky nowadays that there's teams are everywhere, that there's so many videos out there, there's online coaches, there's so many ways to get better. The information is out there that when I came up, it was not as easily available at all. So I think you don't have to have a huge background. I think you can do amazing at it without a big background in lifting. And no, you don't have to be. Wait, what was the second question? Do you have to be jacked? Or?
Do you miss being jacked at the expense of being a good puller? And you already stated that you have both. So
I'm just not. I know I'm not jacked. I was messing around, but for me personally, I don't know if it's being vain or whatever it is, but looking good is not a big enough reason for me to go into the gym. I just don't care that much. It's not motivating enough for me to go in the gym and work out. If I have a match coming, I got thousands of people watching, I'm trying to make a living at it, then those are reasons. It's arm wrestling, which I love to compete in. I want to be stronger so I can beat. There's so many reasons in arm wrestling for me to go lift weights. That's motivating enough. But looking good for me personally is not motivating enough for me to
Bridget. Hey, Bridget, can you chime in, Bridget?
She's not here. She's not here.
No. Yeah. So I was lifting for, man, a decade plus before I found arm wrestling, 12 years, I think. And I walked in my first practice and I was like, oh, what do we do here? And my coach, the host of the practice, Josh Grant, was like, why don't you warm up with that guy in the corner over there sitting at a table? And it was he would have been 80 years old at the time. And I was like, I am going to hurt this guy. I'm 6'3", 250 pounds. That's my grandfather. Not literally, but figuratively, I can't arm wrestle him. Well, he cracked my wrist so hard and threw me down to the pin pad.
He grabbed that thumb? Did he grab that thumb?
Yeah, it didn't need to. It wasn't close. On every single arm wrestling fundamental, I was beat. And Norm Devio, he's a bit of a legend if you don't know. So, but yeah, I think that's one of those memories in life that just gets ingrained in you. Like, I'll never forget that moment. I think that's probably why I fell so hard in love with arm wrestling, because I needed to understand what just happened. How did this guy do this to me? Because like everyone else, I always beat all my friends at arm wrestling. I was good at the blah, blah, blah. And then I just get cracked by someone. I was afraid I was going to hurt because I was so much bigger. And he pulls like 154s and I'm 250 pounds. So, no, I don't think it helps all too much. Maybe as I started to understand the technique, it gave me a marginal advantage, but I don't think it's as big of a difference as you might think.
You've changed aesthetically from like looks wise from then before till now.
Not much, if I'm being honest, man. It's pretty easy to keep what you have, right? Your body doesn't want to just get rid of something that helps you survive as long as you're using it enough. So I haven't really noticed. Obviously, anything related to my arms is even better, but pecs, quads, glutes, pretty easy to at least keep. They haven't made many gains, but not hard to maintain what I had. We have a post here from Carolyn Looms, longtime member. Thank you for the support. She says, hey, Ryan, did you compete in the Ronnie Bean Classic? And what place did you get in your last tournament? I can't recall your medal placing. And did you get picks? Well, I'm glad you asked.
Oh, we go.
Oh, yeah.
Here it is.
Oh, yeah.
Drum roll, please.
You asked for it. First place at the New England Arm Wrestling Championship. East versus West qualified athlete. Thank you very much for asking. I got first place in the super heavyweight pro division, right and left-handed. But I'm really a 242-pound puller. I didn't have a 242 class, so I had to pull supers. But yeah, it went great. I did not do the Ronnie Bean Classic because I am in Texas, Carolyn. I'm a Texan now. It's finally time for me to be with my people, and here I am. So no Ronnie Bean Classic for me, but that is a great tournament. I heard it had an awesome showing there. So shout out to the Ronnie Bean Classic. And thank you, Carolyn, for the support. You're always awesome in the chat. So let's get on to our next question here. And it is posted by Guilty Figure 6402. He wants to know who is the strongest arm wrestler in their prime ever, not best legacy, but strongest ever in their prime. So not best arm wrestler, just I guess raw horsepower. Derek, I would love to know your answer.
Well, I got Brian Shaw on the table the other day, so I guess Brian Shaw is the strongest arm wrestler ever. I don't know. Like, how like if he says not strongest, so not best legacy, so not the best. Just who puts up the most weight that would call themselves an arm wrestler as well. I mean, what's his name? That used to win World's Strongest Man back in the day, the one that broke the guy's arm.
Yeah, he's the reason arm wrestling is no longer in the World's Strongest Man.
Dude. Oh my God,
that guy.
Magnus Samuelson.
Yeah, I was gonna say Magnus Carlsen, but he's a chess player, totally different sport.
Yeah, Magnus Samuelson, I think is his name. So he won Europeans apparently. So he was a legit arm wrestler and probably became the strongest, one of the strongest men in history. So I guess we go there. Yeah. I guess you're speaking overall strength. Yeah, if you're talking just arm wrestling related strength, I mean Richard Lupke's comes to mind, right? Yeah. Everyone always talks about how when you're talking raw horsepower, Lupke's is the dude. But then like I think like Levon. Yeah, Levon, Dennis,
right.
Richard. Those are like probably the top three guys. If you want to go like that reached a high level in arm wrestling, you probably go with those guys. But yeah, if you're just talking about guys who moved the most weight in a weight room total, you're talking Vitautas Lawless, who went to Arm Wars, he had some matches. Or you're talking Magnus Samuelson, probably, I guess overall. So kind of that depends on the strength. You need to find what do you mean by strongest? Like strongest on the table, strongest in general?
Yeah. So there you go. There's your answer. Next up, we got, are fat grips good to train with in a commercial gym? And also fat grips or fat grips extreme? The regular ones are 2.25 inches diameter and the extremes are 2.75 inch diameter. I'm thinking of getting extreme just because I'm in heavyweight, and I like the way you're thinking, because my philosophy in the gym is trying to approximate arm wrestling as much as possible. And so if you're like, hey, I'm going to be facing bigger hands, it makes sense to have a larger diameter fat grip. So personally, I do use them because, if you're grabbing a barbell that's like 28 millimeter diameter, that's not how you arm wrestle. That is how you arm wrestle. And a fat grip fits pretty well right in there. Do not screenshot this either. Derek, fat grips, love them, hate them?
No fat grips.
No fat grips. Oh, you're killing me, man. I just did a whole speech.
So, do fat grips? Okay, what do fat handles do? They get in your fingers. They make your fingers work. That's it, right? That's the only thing they do is they bring finger engagement to the lift. Now, if I have a handle this big, like this marker, right? Rolling handle at the gym, a standard handle you see at the gym, but I let it go into my fingers, and then I curl it from my fingertips down, and then do the wrist curl. It's hitting the same thing. I would argue almost that you're getting better contraction in your fingers doing it this way than you would with the fat grip, which is more static and you're just holding on, right? You're not actually getting concentric movement in the fingers, just static holding. So I would almost argue that these might even be better for your fingers than a standard smaller diameter hander might be better for your fingers than fat grips. This was brought to me by Vazgen Segoyan, right? Multiple world champion, smaller guy, right? He was a world champion at like 120. And but he always, when he'd buy the handles, I'd be getting all the big handles and the fat grips and things like that. And he'd be like, I'd see what handles he's working out with. They're tiny, and he has a little hand. He goes, you don't need all that. He's like, you don't need giant grips. And then you always got to consider as well, like when you're doing these wrist curls, like say I'm doing wrist curls with a fat grip and I'm maxed out. I can do, I'm on my 7th rep and I'm like, I can't get any more. Then did I stop doing wrist curls because my fingers, or did I stop doing wrist curls because my wrist? Right. So there's certain situations like in the straps where fingers aren't as big of a player. So I would want my wrist to be able to do the movements. So I do a lot of wrist curls with a small diameter handle where the direction is going through my arm or through my hand and not through my fingers to get my fingers out of play. So I can just wrist curl without having to rely on my fingers to do all the force. And then I train my fingers separate. So I do train my fingers separate. But I don't like the idea of just throwing a fat grip on everything, because then it's just trying to train your fingers all the time when we want to train other things at different points. So I'm to the point of isolation where I'm isolating fingers, I'm isolating wrists, I'm isolating different parts of my wrist, not just trying to throw it all in one like a quiche, like a melting pot of wrist movement. So that's right.
There you go. Yeah, I should note, not on everything. There are certain things I will do it for. Mix it up, right? Always keep your training fresh. But I will say Derek is not the champion of New England in arm wrestling, so take his advice with a grain of salt.
Are we gonna build up to a super match between me and you, Ryan? You better start eating. You better start eating. I'm gonna tell you right now, Ryan.
Listen, I gotta get Chris Drummond first. He thinks he can just come on this podcast without earning his chops, man. No, Chris, I'm calling you out. It also sucks because anytime I win something in the Northeast, it's like a little asterisk because Jerry didn't show up. And like Tim Brown, so it's like I am the champion of New England arm wrestling because Jerry didn't show up, So that's what it is. All right, so there's your answer, guilty figure. Let's move on to our next one: bicep curls versus hammer curls. So many conflicting arguments, writes Arm Wrestling Mail. He says, recently, user Minhale, one of the moderators we have, taught me a good way to search for information related to arm wrestling. However, this topic is still a mystery to me. Some arm wrestlers train bicep curls, Levon, Irakli, etc., whereas other arm wrestlers train hammer curls. Which one would help me more with arm wrestling? Which should I be doing? I understand that doing both would help. However, when I'm doing a heavy week, I can't do heavy on both bicep curls and hammer curls. I can only do heavy on one of them. So he's got to pick. Explain, please. Do Smith curls. How about that? I think that's Derek's answer.
No, I answered. You scroll down. I'm in there.
Let's do that. All right. We don't even need Derek on the show. I'll just read his. No, that's not you. That's not you. There you are. Which one do you start the match in position to use? Dude, you stole my freaking answer. So you are guaranteed access to hammer, not to bicep. That's a great way of putting it. You are guaranteed to use your hammer curl strength, not your, bicep preacher curl strength. That's a great way of putting it. I'm stealing that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we start there, guys. So
Yeah.
to get strong, even if you are a deep hook puller, and even if you think, I use a ton of bicep, you still have to start there. And you're not guaranteed to access your bicep. If they roll out, you can't get a hold of them. That's not guaranteed. But you have guaranteed pressure from a hammer curl position. So if you have to choose one, in general, I understand everybody's not versatile, but if you have to choose one, yeah. People ask me what the number one workout is for arm wrestling, and I hate answering that question. But when they make me, they're like, come on, Derek, you're going to do one. You're on a desert island. You have one lift. What are you going to do? I say neutral. I like neutral grip pull-ups. I think neutral grip pull-ups will test the wrist. I think they get you strong in a starting position. They'll get you strong in a compound movement. It gets everything working together. So I think, but that's a starting position. And that's, even if I want to be a hook puller, like I'll still say neutral grip pull-ups are probably the best, in my opinion, if you can only pick one lift. So, I mean, that'll take you the furthest in arm wrestling. But yeah, so hammer, I think, just makes sense because you have to be strong in the starting position. If you're not, you're screwed.
If you're on a deserted island, why would that limit you to one exercise? I don't understand. But hey,
gun to your head, I don't know.
Okay, see, that's better. That's a better analogy there. Hey, we got a super chat from Carolyn Looms here. Well, let me just say something quick on this, and before we get off topic, still do your bicep curls. There are times where you're going to lose center, you're going to miss the go, whatever, and you're going to be palm up, tucked in there. And in those moments, I find myself thinking, thank God I train this position sometimes, and I grind my way out of it. So do both, but yeah, prioritize hammer curls for sure would be my take. Now, Carolyn Looms in with a $5 super chat. Carolyn, you're awesome. Thank you for supporting the show. Means a lot to us. And it's a question for Derek. Hi, Derek. Do you know anyone pulling at Knuckles Up in January?
I want to start this off saying Carolyn's amazing. Thank you, Carolyn, for always supporting my channel, Ryan's channel, all the channels. People, if you guys don't understand who Carolyn is, she's amazing. She's fantastic. Carolyn she sends me like motivational quotes on Instagram all the time and in private messages. Also, she's always on top of it and keeping her eye out for everything. So I am a bigger Carolyn Looms fan than she is a Derek Smith fan.
That's great.
In terms of your question, Carolyn, do I know anyone pulling a Knuckles Up in January? Nope. I haven't heard of any of the matches. I have not been approached about Knuckles Up, so I do not know who's competing in that. To be honest, if I'm 100% being honest with you, Carolyn, I promise I do not know, or I would tell you I don't know. But thank you for the super chat. Thank you for supporting the channel. You're awesome.
Yeah, they did their last one was super high production. That could be a real contender. The Knuckles Up.
You know what I think Carolyn's doing here? You know what she's doing here? I've released on my channel that I have a match in January with a unknown promotion, and she's trying to whittle it down to find out who I'm arm wrestling with. That's what she's doing right now. She's trying to see because I told him I can't tell them who it is. She's trying to chip away, check him off the list. He said, "Nope, not this one, not this one."
Wow.
That's what she's doing.
She's playing 4D chess. We're playing checkers. She's playing checkers. Okay, so she can now narrow it down to whoever you didn't mention. So thank you, Carolyn, for the support. For real. You're awesome. It helps a lot. Keeps the lights on here. So let's go on to our next post. We got this one is by user ZFax, and he's pretty straightforward with his question. Why am I terrible at arm wrestling? And so pretty much every show, Derek and I have to save some poor soul who just sucks at arm wrestling. And it looks like this episode is no different. So let's get into it here. I'm pretty strong, especially around my arms, since I go to the gym and work with managing heavy steel. But when it comes to arm wrestling, I am absolutely weak. I mean, some skinny ass dudes can almost beat me. I'm pretty buff at 87 kilograms, which is like 190 pounds, 180 pounds. I think I shouldn't even bother with people I've wrestled with, but in fact, they feel really strong. Someone give me some tips, please. Here's some things that I think are the factors to my weak wrestling. My tricep and forearm area hurt when I go in for a recovery. My wrist bends back really easily. I might be using the wrong type of muscle to push. So not too much to go on there, but given this poor man's situation, what advice would you bestow upon him, Derek?
Man, there's so many things at play here. The very last word you used in the entire post is scaring the crap out of me. Push, you pull. We pull, first off. We're pushing. Pulling. Yeah, pushing is is indicative of, and you say your triceps are hurting, I don't know what angles you're getting into, man, but it sounds scary. As a new guy, generally your inner elbow hurts, your shoulder hurts. If your triceps really killing you, that means you're probably doing way too much shoulder commitment and trying to shove sideways, and they're kind of pulling you open. That's dangerous. I feel like that made that you're probably talking that lower tricep area. He's probably talking about back here. And I usually have that when I'm like deep hooking or deep going sideways and someone's pulling through me and it starts getting ugly. That's usually when that starts hurting for me. So I'm worried that you're getting some ugly ass spots. Obviously your hand and wrist should be weak. You've never trained them, right? I doubt you're in the gym cranking out heavy gym or hand and wrist work. And hand and wrist is a broad statement in and of itself. There's wrist flexion, rising, pronation. There's all the different things. It's such a huge question. There's so many reasons why you might suck, right? From you not knowing what you're doing, to you being weak in significant areas, to you having too small of a hand. There's so many things that I don't know about you that to diagnose why you suck at arm wrestling would be hard. I would need to see a video. That would help a lot. A video, and I can tell you specifically what you're doing wrong and how you're getting taken advantage of on the table. But besides that, man, it's just too big of a question for me to ask. Too many possibilities.
Yeah. It sounds like he's arm wrestling like we all used to at the lunch table in high school, and he thinks I'm pretty buff, therefore he should win. And maybe you missed my story earlier, but I'm pretty buff, and I got beat by an 80-year-old man on my first practice. So if you're not training specifically for arm wrestling, you're going to get beat by people who just happen to have stronger pronation or side pressure. I mean, how often do you train internal rotation at the gym, Mr. Z-Fax? Trying to rely on your bench press or how many pull-ups you can do to do arm wrestling is not going to work for you. It's much more technique, much more intricate, I guess, than you think it is. So Roger Cunningham had a good point here. Also, let your ego go aside. Just because you're bigger than someone doesn't mean you're going to be stronger than them. Like, you say you're pretty buff. I guarantee you we could take some lightweight power lifter who's deadlifting twice your weight, right? So don't think just because you're bigger that means you're necessarily supposed to win at a strength event. Let's move on to our next thing here. Arm Wrestling Male says, is there any benefit to doing hammer curls with the belt around your thumb? Instead of doing hammer curls, I want to transition to this movement into a static pronation movement, which would hit both brachialis, brachioradialis, and my pronator all in one, instead of doing pronation curls in the full range of motion. I want to keep it at my thumb and just do normal hammer curls up and down without any pronation, keeping the wrist neutral. Would this be effective? So taking a belt, putting it around the back of your thumb like this, I assume is what he's talking about, right? Around the thumb, and then just hammer curl. That is like the exercise du jour at the moment, my dude. But the thing about that is if you're trying to increase your hammer curl strength, you probably shouldn't do that, right? You're only going to be able to lift as much as the weakest link. And if your pronator can't hold up, then you're not going to be hitting your brachialis and brachioradialis as much because your pronator is now the weaker link. The more muscles you introduce, whatever one's weakest is going to get a great workout, and the stronger ones, not so much. So I wouldn't say do it instead of hammer curls, but in conjunction with hammer curls. What would you say to this man, Derek?
Everything you said is just perfectly wrong.
As always. Should I just go?
So no, not really. I just when it's going around your thumb like this, a strap around your thumb, by default, it's going to be challenging your pronation. So if you really just don't want to hit your pronation at all, then why are you wrapping it around your thumb in the first place? Like I don't get that, right? There's other ways to just wrap it around your hand like this and just do the curl. Like if you don't want to tax pronation at all, right? He
does. He said, I want to transition to this movement, which would hit both brachialis, brachioradialis, and my pronator all in one. So he wants to get his pronator and his brachialis and brachioradialis.
The very last sentence, though, I want to keep it on my thumb, just do normal hammer curls up and down without any pronation.
Without any active, he's saying static pronation.
Okay. So
yeah.
Active pronation. Okay, I got you. Then yeah, these are fine. But the amount of pronation work in here, people think it's super heavy pronation when you're just doing the static lifts. It's not a ton. Because the angle is shooting straight down to the ground, it's hitting mostly your brachialis and brachioradialis. It will be working your thumb because you'll be forcing it in, and it will be working your pronation somewhat. But you'll see, if you see videos of Engin Terzi working out, I don't know how I can recreate this right now, but he'll have something on the back. He'll have a strap like this, and he'll have something on the back of his hand, forcing the strap out while he does it. So that way it's really hitting his pronation while he's doing the curl. It's trying to really open his hand up because it's pulling away from his hand. So he'll have like something that looks like a soda can or something on the back of his hand to extend it, so it's hitting his pronation while he does the curls. But yeah, I mean that's ways to change it up. But yeah, I mean, if you're just want to get a little bit of pronation, and these compound lifts, I just don't do this. Like this is so outside of me because I will just hit pronation, then I will hit brachialis, and I will hit brachioradialis, and I will isolate each one of these movements, and then I will arm wrestle and put them together. So I train differently than this. I'm not trying to hit 19 things in one lift and thinking I'm getting efficient in all the things and making gains across the whole board. Like when one muscle is getting 80% of the attacks and the other ones are getting 5% of work, but you think that 5% is doing a lot. Sorry, this is not how I lift or train. But yeah, man, that's a way of hitting it somewhat.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so let's wouldn't be an episode of The Pulse without a form check.
Yeah.
So this man has opened himself up to ridicule and derision from the host of The Pulse. Let's see, Derek, how is his form? He's got a belt, holding it straight over the knuckles, between his punching knuckles and door knocking knuckles, going up, down. This is the content we get over at the Arm Wrestling Reddit page. How is this man's form? And more specifically, I would like to ask you, Derek, what do you think about that range of motion? Like when you're doing something like this, should he be dumping down? Like, should he be bringing his wrist into a position where he doesn't want to be in a match? Or should he only start neutral and up? So that's, I think, there's not much to talk about besides that.
Did you just try to talk to me about giving you my answer and then say my own answer to me before I gave you my own answer? Is this what you just did? I want to know your response, but talk about the range of motion, which I was immediately going to start talking about the range of motion. He said, tell me about the range of motion.
There's nothing much else. I mean, this isn't the most exciting video. There's not much else to talk about.
I don't know if you can see it. Right? I have this injury. When I move my thumb, I have this injury that shoots down the back of my hand. You can see if I move my thumb a lot. Oh, the shadows aren't right. Anyway, you see this moving a lot right here, all the way down my forearm. Anyway, it's like in person, everybody that sees it goes like, "Oh my god, what is that? That's gross." Because it doesn't happen to my left. I tore it by doing heavy pronation stuff with things around my thumb and heavy rising, and it tore it bad. It was all black and blue for a while. But when it comes to range of motion, the muscles that control rising are pretty small. If it's the one, this is a heavy debate about which muscles control rising. They're saying there's different ones, but if it is I forget the name of it. It's 4 words. The last word is longest. Something longest. Anyway, it's a small muscle, right? So, and in a match, you're never going to go from dumped to high in a match. This muscle is too small for if you're dumped and someone has pressure there for you to curl them up. That is not a realistic range of motion. That will never happen. And a realistic range of motion normally is not all the way up either. Generally, you're not going to start there because you'll be covering someone's thumb knuckle. But when a match begins, you can go from straight to high, straight to high. That's realistic. That's a realistic range of motion in a match, right? So if I'm doing concentric movements and rising straight to high, or static holds at high or static holds at straight. There's ways to start with your knuckles high, like if you, different topic, but if you push into someone's hand, you can start with your knuckles straight up. So it is possible to start that way, but there's a lot of people that won't. But also, like I said, the odds of injury of you going to the full end of that range and straining the muscle is higher, and it's a small muscle. So when people go full dump to full high, I never recommend doing that at all. Stay away from that. You're going to hurt yourself. Also, smile a little bit in your videos, man. Show a little personality.
There you go. That's the real advice here. Yeah, I mean, it's like Derek was saying, it's better to do, because if you're doing bigger range of motion, you're going to have to use less weight. And so it's better to have more weight in a range of motion that is applicable to arm wrestling than being like, oh, I got to go down in order to hit more of a range of motion. Although it's got me thinking now, Smith curls, that's pretty good range of motion there. How do you factor that in?
I don't do. What do you mean Smith curls?
Like
I don't do right. Those are brachialis and biceps.
Right, but you're opening your arm out, are you not?
Yeah, it's open pretty far. Realistically, it's about like it's past 90. It's about there. It's not full extension.
Yeah,
because I hit the ground and so my arm's bent a little bit, and then it's forcing up in the curl. But yeah, it's more. It is a big range of motion, but I also do a lot of other stuff that is smaller range of motion. So like a bicep day, I'll do.
Oh, no, you're back. You're back.
Okay, I had a phone call. All right. So for bicep curls, I'll start with like lat pull downs, my palm facing me. I'll do Smith curls, a heavy one-handed palm up Smith curls. Then I'll do arms behind me, bicep curls with the palm up to hit the other bicep head, and then I'll do partials, partial one-hand dumbbell curls in between my legs, going to a 90 and supinating up, and then maybe I'll hit something else. So I'll hit about 5 lifts on biceps, but one of them is Smith curls. It's just when people see that, I hear it all the time, like, oh, you need to get some other curls in there. Like, I'm doing 5 other lifts. I post one lift, and they're like, you're not doing any of this. I'm like, I'm doing all that as well. It's just this. I like the Smith curls because what happens is when you're bent over and you're doing it in a bent over row position, you're curling. You're not just flat curling up. You're also forcing in. You're using internal rotation. When it starts getting heavy, you're forcing it in and supinating like you would to get a hook. Like you're getting in there and getting tight and fighting center table. It's the feeling, Ryan. If you haven't tried it, especially the palm up ones. Try it, especially when you start getting heavy and comfortable with the motion and you curl up to your temple and you force that elbow forward. It feels so much like arm wrestling pressures. It's crazy. I love it.
There you go. It's Smith for Derek Smith, right? That's not a coincidence.
I'm not creative. I just called it Smith curls because I didn't.
Okay, but you did originate that. That is your lift.
I've never seen anybody else do it. So
there it is. That's all it takes. Maybe one more real quick. We started a little late. Shinigami asks, any tips for stronger hits? I've always had problems in attacking. I mostly relied on tiring out my opponent, but in the long run, it'll eventually come back and kill me. Any tips or exercises? So what we've been doing at practice, towards the end of practice when we're tired, we'll do a king of the table type of deal where we're actually doing it, right? So many people, when they're training, they're slow pulling, right? You start easy. And then when tournament day comes, you've never trained a hit in your life. So why would it be strong? Do you recommend training hitting at practice, Derek, or is it too dangerous?
I'm such a believer. First off, you're talking to a slow guy, right? You're talking to a slow guy, big, strong, slow guy. And I'll go quickly for small movements to things that I need. I don't ever go quickly to a pin. But that being said, I do think that speed is a gamble. I think that training that, I feel like I embrace building muscle memory in your arm. I think that what we learn best and we dial in the most, we can get faster with it over time. So I'm more of a believer in let's get the movement dialed in slow, and then we'll start slowly adding speed rather than caring about how fast twitch you can hit. I want that when you hit as fast as you can eventually and you stop on a dime in perfect angles and with all your leverages intact, rather than you hitting, someone stops you and you're like, oh, you're way down here. You're like, oh no, by the time you stand up, you lose. So I think being efficient in your hits, because that's the biggest thing, is that you gamble efficiency and how tight you'll be in the hit. So I'm more have my guys dialed in slow. And if you're a fast switch guy and you want to haul off, then haul off. We can train rubber bands. We can train ready goes. But in general, there's so many other gains to be made in terms of arm wrestling correctly before needing to slam into everybody, I think, before that comes into really big play. That I mostly push the fundamentals of my teammates more than speed at this point. But some of them are explosive and they just have it. Some of them just straight have fast twitch and they just like go fast. But I don't think it's as important as some people think.
Yeah. And repetition is the father of learning. I have a guy at one of my, at Nick Stone's Labyrinth, who always asks, hey, can I do some hits with you? Because I'm significantly stronger than him. So it's not risky for me. And I'm a good training partner. I'm not going to rip him over. And so we'll do a drill where he hits and I catch, right? And we'll do it 15, 20 times in a row. So he's getting his hit training in. I'm getting some training, catching and stopping a lot of force, which is good for eccentric for me. And so maybe that's an option. Find someone who's, experienced and you trust at your club and say, hey, can I do some hit training with you? More than likely, they're going to say, yeah, because it's going to help them too. So get better at hitting by doing more hitting, which a lot of people do not do at a tournament. In fact, we've had some posts on here where people are like, I just got flash pinned at my first tournament ever. What happened? And it's probably because people don't realize it is 0 to 100 when the ref says go. Arm wrestling practices tend to be pretty friendly. It's, hey, you want to pull for a bit? I'm going to train this. Okay, I'm going to try to. It's not like that in a tournament. It's dog eat dog, man. The second the ref says go, and a lot of people are not prepared for that. So there you go, Shinigami. That's going to do it for our time. I want to shout out Derek's theawswitch.com. Support the man. It's some pretty sweet looking gear. Engen, you should be paying Engen, man. He wears your shirts all the time.
Hey, we take him shirts every time we go out there, bro. He has like 9 shirts.
Yeah, he's always rocking that. So this is Derek's site. He's got all kinds of cool gear, shirts, tanks, women's tops, stickers, you name it. Theawswitch.com if you want to help Derek out and get some sweet arm wrestling swag. And as we talked about in the beginning, I'll link this in the chat, by the way. Next week should be on Derek Smith's channel. We do this every Monday, 6 p.m. real time Eastern, 3 p.m. BS time Pacific. And we switch.
What time are you at? What time are you at right now, Ron?
I'm an hour behind real time.
Oh, so you're not on the real time anymore, huh?
I didn't think about that. I'm going to have to think about that.
Yeah,
Real
you
time
gotta
may
let
have
go.
shifted an hour back. Don't worry about it right now. I'm in Texas for those who aren't caught up to speed right now. And yeah, so next week should be on Derek's channel, AW Derek on YouTube, and we bounce back and forth every week. Thank you guys for tuning in. Check if the Aussie Arm Wrestler is live. Could be Uncle John as well. And yeah, we'll do this again Monday. Any closing words, Derek?
You guys, thank you for watching. Appreciate all the love and support. You guys trying to boost Ryan's channel. So I do think, honestly, I love the layout of this channel. With us having solid topics and training questions, I don't see any other channels doing this or any other podcasts doing it. So it still boggles my mind that we're not already the biggest show on planet Earth. But if you guys can help share this, man, I think I think it helps a lot of new arm wrestlers. Like, I really think it answers a lot of questions. So if you guys can help share this or promote it in any way, I would appreciate that more than anything. But yeah, give Ryan a subscribe, because then it helps grow the show as well. And but yeah, thank you for all the love. I'm very undeserving, just a normal guy, and I appreciate all the love and things I get. I'm nothing special, man. So it's
You
always
are
shocking.
so far from a normal guy, but we'll let that comment slide for time.
I'm a normal guy, Ryan.
Okay, you're a normal
Do
guy.
I not bleed? Do I not have feelings, Ryan?
Just your average 6'8" arm wrestling former pro gamer basketball player who travels to Istanbul.
Sorry, the thing, Ryan.
Totally normal, guys. Catch you, Derek, on any target any day of the week. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern time, 3 p.m. Pacific time, Derek's channel. This is The Pulse signing out.